Hello, WhiteNoise here. Today we're going to be looking at 5 free games that will be worth your time. Now, these free games are primarily on PC. As a console gamer previously, I do know how frustrating it is. There are so many games on PC that are free or very cheap compared to console games, and unfortunately I just couldn't do free-to-play games on the consoles because they're just not that great compared to the ones on the PC. What we're seeing here is the game Warface, made by the same people who make Crysis. As you can see, it's a first-person shooter, very fast-paced depending on the gameplay and the game mode you select. There is a co-op mode on it, however none of my friends play this game, so I was unable to show some of that. And I felt the co-op with other players wouldn't have shown primarily what that probably consisted of, so I didn't want to show that. A lot of people, the reviews on Steam for instance, a huge amount of them are negative because a lot of people seem to think this is a pay-to-win game. Now, here I'm using the M16, the very basic class. It's the one I haven't spent any money on this game, and I haven't spent any money at all, not a single penny, on any of the games that I'm going to be showing today. So, whether people say they're pay-to-win or not, you can see how well I do without paying a penny, and I had a lot of fun. Basically, in this match, I was MVP of the whole thing. So it's really not pay to win. It depends on your skill. Some people might get frustrated and put bad reviews. It depends, I guess. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's a very simple game. There's not too much to figure out. It's very much just the basic raw first-person shooter look and game style. It's not something you're going to be able to play for months on end. It's not something that you want to stick with particularly. It's not that game that's going to hold you there for years. It's not something you're going to be able to continue with too much. But if you're bored, you want to play a first-person shooter, this is a great game to try out. It's free. Have a go. But it's up to you at the end of the day. It's a free game, so why not download it, have a look at it, see for yourself. Our next free game is Ghost Recon Phantoms. Now, this is completely different to Warface, I would say. It's far more tactical in the sense that you have to be hiding behind walls a huge amount, otherwise your accuracy is decreased, and so on and so on. And basically, if you're not playing it tactically, you are going to die a lot, and you're not going to be able to push the objectives with your team. That is another aspect. Leading on to that is the team play. Now, team play is massive with this game, squad included as well. As you can see, I've got lines coming off me to show me where my team and squad members are, enabling me to play and coordinate along with them to make sure we can win the round. I don't want to say too much because obviously a shooter's a shooter. This third person, as you can see, generally a lot of fun. You've got your character. You can buy coins. It's not pay to win at all, but you can buy coins to make aesthetic changes to your character or spend them instead of the in-game credits that you earn. I personally haven't paid a penny, but a lot of people do. It doesn't really make a difference. It's not pay to win at all. You can just play whatever you want. So this is one to try. Yeah, enjoy it. Now, next up, we have some very new and interesting gameplay in the game Nosgoth. Now, this game is primarily to do with vampires and humans. So, human hunters, like vampire hunters, and the vampires themselves. And basically what happens is there are two teams. One team is vampires, so you actually get to play as the vampires, which is probably one of the coolest things about the game, and a team of hunters. Now, it's a very interesting gameplay because obviously this is a pretty new idea. I don't think I've seen anything quite like this. It's completely different to anything personally I have played. As hunters, you have to work well as a team and stick together, otherwise you will not survive, and it leads to a lot of fun moments. You get powers as each class you are. There are different classes, and it's just a lot of fun. And as you go to the vampire side, that's where you have the real fun. Like, you've always wanted to hunt other players as a vampire. It just seems like something really cool and very simple, actually. So I'm surprised we haven't seen this before, but it's interesting. So as the vampires, you get to have these awesome special abilities. You can climb the walls and everything, and you basically you've got to kill the enemy team, and that's obviously what you have to do as a hunter, but it seems more interesting as a vampire. This is definitely one to go play. I do very much suggest this. If you don't like this sort of game, or you don't like the look of it, at least try it, I would suggest, because the gameplay looks very different probably to what it actually is. So I would suggest going and get this. It is, again, free, as we are looking at free games. So there's not really any reason not to try it. You may as well. It's great gameplay. So again, go and have fun. Tell me what you think about the game in the comments. I'd love to hear what your thoughts on Nosgoth particularly are. And we'll move on. Moving on to our fourth game, War Thunder. Now, War Thunder is for the people who mainly like more realistic games. As you can see, it's an incredibly realistic game in the sense of World War II machinery. Now, here we're going to be playing as tanks. I believe I'm an Alliance tank here. Alliance? Don't know why I said Alliance. The good guys, you know, the Americans and the British. Yes, the British. So, yes, we're in one of the R tanks, because I am British. Obviously. But yes, all in all, a great game. I'm going to say that from the offset. Not for people who prefer fast-paced games. This, I wouldn't necessarily say was fast-paced, but it's not slow-paced, but it's certainly not going to be a rush into battle thing, because you do have limited respawns, or limited tanks, as it is in this, which is quite cool, because it's quite realistic. You only have a certain number of tanks, of course. And it's a lot of fun. Basically, it's very detailed in the sense of how thick the armors are, and on which parts of the tank the armor is thick. So you've got to aim for the right parts of the enemy tanks, and certainly knowing the enemy tank and knowing the structure of it definitely helps to destroy your enemy, although obviously that will take a lot of time to learn pretty much all the tanks. I mean, ideally you'd want to learn all the tanks, so you know whatever tank you're up against, you know how to destroy it almost instantly. But obviously that's not going to happen. I don't know that at all, really. I just sort of, there's a little crosshair that sort of goes green if you're going to get a penetrative hit that will kill someone, or hit an ammo box which will immediately set them on fire, stuff like that. Or you can get a red crosshair, which basically means you can't penetrate it at all, or a yellow crosshair, which is a possibility. It's very simple and a huge amount of fun. You can get your crew members knocked out so you're unable to move around, but you can still shoot, or your gunner knocked out so you can't shoot, or your reloader knocked out so you can't reload, so you only have one shot, or the one shot that's in the barrel, or if you shot you can't reload at all. It's very interesting gameplay. These guys do respawn, but it takes a while and you're left sort of stranded in the middle of a battlefield. It's a very realistic game. If you like World War II games, definitely have a go at this. I definitely recommend it. The tank gameplay is amazing. Flying I haven't done too much of. I have done a bit, and that's quite fun as well. But if you're one of those hardcore flying simulator people, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the flying on this. It doesn't relate to flying simulators, as I know. You won't be able to use a joystick very easily, I don't believe, on this, from what I've heard. So maybe if you're a hardcore person like that, then maybe not. But for a mouse and keyboard, the flying's absolutely fine. In the menus, as you may have also seen at the beginning, you can also check out the thickness of your armor on the tank and where it's thickest on the tank, so you know how to maneuver around enemies. For instance, if you've got thick side armor, you want to be moving with your side to the enemy. So there is a lot of tactics in this game. It's not incredibly a team game, I would say. Unless you're with a bunch of friends, you don't really interact with the rest of your team. There's no sort of... It's mainly sort of, I think it's capture points type game. But you don't... There's no helping teammates particularly, except from maybe destroying a target who's shooting at a teammate. That's about as far as the team play goes. But if you're on your own, absolutely stunning game if you like the realism and World War II games. So definitely give it a try. Tell me what you think on this one as well. That'll be interesting for me to know. And we'll move on to the last game. Now we are on our fifth and final game. Now this one is I'd say probably an out of the ordinary one, possibly one you haven't heard of. I'd say probably a lot of people haven't heard of this one or seen any of this really. This is Dead Island Epidemic. Now, don't expect this to be anything like Dead Island. As you can see, it's almost nothing to do with it. The only thing that is Dead Island is where you are, I guess. You are on the original Dead Island. Now, as you can see, it's a top-down bird's eye view gameplay. You have your main character who will upgrade. You get to choose one at the beginning, and you'll stick with them for a large chunk of the game, most of the game at this stage. Now, this game, I would point out, is very small currently. It's a beta, I believe, at the moment, open beta, but it is free, and I believe it is going to stay free. It's a lot of fun. If you like those sort of level up games where you get to earn your powers and you get to use them properly, then you'll probably like this game. It's a lot of fun. I would almost be so careful to compare it to Diablo. If you've ever played Diablo, it's nothing like Diablo in that sense, but in the sense of the top-down view, the powers, that sort of thing, it's a lot like it, and it's a lot of fun. I would play this with friends, up to 4 players, I believe. You'd have so many, some great gameplay with friends, and probably much better gameplay, better quality gameplay with your friends. However, as you can see here, I'm playing on my own. That person there is an NPC, I believe. So you can play on your own, and it's still a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun. But as I say, the game is very small, so you will get sort of, I think there's like 6 levels, which are fairly short, but you can go into later levels, which you can go play and find other players to come play with you online, which are actually a lot tougher. The missions are a lot tougher. So this was a sort of, this is kind of a risky game to put on this, but I would definitely go try it if you like this sort of game. Do not get it if you're expecting Dead Island. It's nothing like that. So don't get it if you're like, oh, I love Dead Island, so I'll probably like this. Don't. As you can see, you're not going to get that experience. But do try it if you like this sort of game. Now we are at the end of our video. Thank you very much if you've stuck to this video for this long. I know it's been a fairly long one, but I didn't have any other way of fitting in the games that I wanted to show without making it longer. I did try to keep it down. It's only just over 10 minutes, I believe, so it's not too bad. Just before I go, I do want to put in a wild card, or something you wouldn't expect. Basically, another game. I don't have any footage for it. I could get some, but not right now. Basically, I'm going to say Elder Scrolls Online. Now, this is not a free game, and it especially isn't at the moment. You can get it, I think, on Steam. It's like 40 quid. And then you pay a 9 quid subscription. So this is certainly not free currently. However, as you may have heard, very soon in March, I believe, it will be releasing a Tamriel Unlimited Edition. Now basically, this removes the subscription from it, so it becomes a free subscription. Now obviously this still isn't free, as you have to buy the copy of the game, but it won't be 40 quid. I got it for about 18 quid, I think. If you check the link in the description for g2a.com, you can get it real cheap on there compared to Steam, I'd add. You can get a lot of games on there for real cheap, but yeah, check it out. But so for not too big a price, I would say, you are going to be able to get a huge amount of content. If you don't like MMOs, maybe don't get it because it's an MMO. But if you enjoyed Skyrim and you don't mind MMOs, definitely have a go at it. Skyrim I enjoyed, and I would say that Elder Scrolls Online is a huge amount like Skyrim in a lot of ways, obviously because they were trying to keep that aspect, but it is an MMO, so it's had to change certain things. But certainly have a look at that. I know that's not free currently, but it will be sort of. So that was my wild card. I hope you enjoyed your video. Your video? Well, okay, it's everybody's video now. Anywho, certainly check out the links below. If you like this video, do give me a thumbs up and subscribe, it does help. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.